achieve the objective or definition of life. Therefore, I demand myself to act towards its attainment, and I am here now to surrender such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will advance and reproduce themselves in the outward physical action. Gradually transform themselves into the reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts 30 minutes daily upon the task of being the person I tend to become, thereby creating my mind as the mental picture that first. Third, I know that the terms of laws of justice, and in third, I hold my mind will eventually be expressed with ease. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to match myself with self-confidence. Fourth, I am clear with the affirmations of my destiny, fame, and life, and I will never stop trying. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth is long doors. I must build upon justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transactions that are not fair by one another next. I will continue by attracting myself to use and cooperation with other people. I will use those to serve me, I will serve others. I will eliminate and self-system. My fault is God for all humanity. If I know that a negative action from others will never make me fail, I will tell them to believe in me, because I believe in them and in myself. I will sign the name of this storybook, Ministry, and repeat it out loud once daily. With full faith and gradually influence my thoughts and actions, so I will become self-reliant and as a person. Alright, 12 steps. 12 steps for minimum standards, when small distractions of positive environment, guarantees 24 plus transactions annually, and a pleasure for the growth of each. 1. I dedicate 1 hour daily for the ability to protect my self-confidence. 2. I practice visualizing my self-skills for middle hours a day. 3. I contact my fear and influence myself, my foe, and or person in my unfortunate. 4. I make a connection to 1,000 per week, 30 per day, my own or person. 5. I follow my contact status. 6. I set 5 plus new appointments a week with my myself. 7. I complete pre-qualified 100% of my appointments. 8. 7 appointments management. 9. I call all my sellers weekly to solid and carry 30 to 25%. 10. I self-select my 11. I look for next time and I'll contact everybody that is strong and make friends. 12. I deliver high qualified buyers to pre-qualified mortgage lenders and China buyer coordinators. For more information, less time and less energy, I recognize the strength of the system. Therefore, I begin to follow every 12 step of the step. Now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I am a force for good. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard. Step up. Alright, open the affirmation.
I'm a professional developer for the human soul. I use information on my clients to achieve their goals. I practice my listen right. I work with the confidence every day. Real estate and actions on my market. My ability to make a succeed. I get problems and success. I'm a master of your situation. I constantly think with integrity. I always have productive thoughts. I take care of my body. I try to stay with my energy. I have a task oriented. I set clear priorities daily. I know what I want to get in it. I am passionate to make greater potential money to stay. My gratitude is to live my next success. I think prosperous thoughts. I am prosperous. I have one of my wise and love every day. Taking action to keep forward. I am eager to start each day. I enjoy being debt free. I exercise daily. I enjoy helping my clients succeed. I am home food. I am an expert. I am my I am a professional. I am financially independent. I earn prestige helping others. I have solutions. Prospect is good for my business. I call inspired to sell my orders. Prospect is easy for me. I enjoy playing with my wife. People are attracted to my enthusiasm. I use it not to succeed. I think that they're stronger people I made. I'm an authentic salesperson. I'm proud of labor. I love to succeed. I keep on deciding.
Morning, everybody. How you doing?
Morning. Good.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. I swear there's more people here. Everyone doing all right?
Awesome.
Have a great weekend.
Yes.
You ready for some energy?
Yes.
All right. Let's make it happen. Any goals, gratitudes, victories that you want to share with the group that you wrote down this morning? Please, yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity of giving back. A group of us got together from the Rotary Club, and we put money together, and we're donating dictionaries to an
cool.
elementary school to third graders tomorrow. So I'll be doing that, and we're going to read to them and give them their
cool.
own dictionaries for the classroom.
Great. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's nice.
Very, very exciting. Cool. Rick? Yeah.
I'm grateful for Barbara being brand new and braving role play this morning. She did an excellent job. So
Wow.
welcome.
Yay.
Good to
Did
meet
well.
you, Barbara. I'm Jeremy, and role play. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it can be kind of intimidating, huh? That's awesome. Evan?
I'm grateful that I was able to spend time with my wife this last week. We went to Royalty and Romance, and it's with Kirk Duncan. I would highly recommend it, but it really brought us really close together, and we were able to enjoy the facilities downtown Salt Lake. We went in there. If you've ever heard of the Light the World, it's where you can give and it gives to those that are in need.
Yeah, like the vending machine things. Is that what you're referring
Yeah,
to?
those
Has anyone seen that downtown? You can like put some money in, and it actually drops down something that will be given to somebody who's in need. Or it's kind of a cool idea. So, yeah, good. Thanks, Evan. That's awesome, man. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to share? Victories, goals, gratitudes? Well, I had an awesome week this week too. I actually got to get away on a little bit of a vacation, but I was in Bandon, Oregon. Anybody spend any time in Oregon here? It's a beautiful area, unbelievable. And we were right on the coast. It's a golf resort where they have like 4 championship golf courses. And interestingly enough, they don't have any golf carts. So you have to walk every day. And we golf 36 holes a day walking.
Wow.
So I am dying right now because we golf 36 every day, and I am currently I was able to get out of bed, which was awesome. I'm walking like this, but it was worth it, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. So anyway, that's great. Well, just as far as schedules go, Unleash the Power Within, March 14th through the 17th. My understanding is that we are going to have a huge group of people from both Utah and California and friends of the organization, just a ton of people going together. So don't miss out on that. And then the Mike Ferry production retreat in Vegas, January 14th through the 16th. I've been going to that this will probably be my 6th straight year. It is an awesome event. I would say it's one of my favorite Mike Ferry events to attend. It's a great way to get the year started off right. What I've found, it's so funny, and I don't know if you feel this way, I always find that agents are, at the end of a year, they go, how did I just do that in the last 12 months? And can I duplicate it over the next 12 months? Anybody ever felt that way and wondered, how am I going to do this again? It's pretty funny. This is a great way to jumpstart that experience and that feeling of knowing okay, now I remember, and you follow the principles. Most of what Mike Ferry talks about is to try to get that idea of how do you duplicate, replicate, continue to build upon a consistent business over and over again. So if you can make it, go. I highly recommend it. I know Rick does and Lindsay. So Lindsay, did I see your hand go up?
Yeah, just on this, just so you guys know, they have they sold out their first block of hotel rooms. So they have just opened it up again. I will be surprised if they last for very long. He will be talking about fires this time. So
Interesting.
people think there's this myth that Mike Ferry never talks about taking care of fires, but he does. And he will actually be spending a whole day, from what I've been told, on fire production. So it is for both fires. And just like Jeremy, I actually like production retreat a heck of a lot more than I do Superstar Retreat. Because I think everybody that's there is serious about their business. It's a great opportunity for you to pick up role play partners that are actually willing and wanting to role play. But it's my favorite event of the year too.
Yeah, these little groups gather while you're at these events, if you've ever been to one, and they help each other from across the nation, and it's really, really interesting. So, Rick?
Jeremy, as you grow, you see things differently. So you may even say, I've done that, I've been part of that. Does not matter.
Yeah.
You grow to a higher level of vision, and when you do that, it's kind of like watching a show again and seeing it and going, man, I didn't catch that. You will see something new almost every time you return to one of these events, and it does increase your business. So make sure you attend as often as you can.
How do
And-
you sign up for it?
Yeah, good question. So, actually, that is a good question. You can do it right online
Okay.
and sign up and pay online, or you can just call the Mike Fagan organization
Okay.
and get yourself set up. And
I'm pretty sure you just talk to the front desk because Everest is a special deal with them.
Yeah.
okay, that might be it too.
Well, if you call Mike Ferry customer service,
They'll know the
they
deal.
know we have a special
Yeah, you can tell them you're
Yeah.
with Everest, and
Yeah.
yeah, they'll know you're with. Make sure to tell them you're with Everest and that you
Okay.
believe there's some deal and stuff. That's just an easy way to pay, and you can do that while you're driving or whatever. Make a phone call. Actually, just for the record, don't make phone calls while you're driving. All right, I want that on video. I want that on video. But yeah, so very good. If you can make it, and here's the deal: it's usually in San Diego, and for some reason I don't know what happened with the hotel switch, but the reservation for January 2019 somehow got messed up, so they're going to do it in Vegas. So just a thought there: it is so cheap to travel to Vegas and to live in Vegas for a couple of days. It is so inexpensive. So please don't let money get in your way. Depends what you're doing while you're there. Correct. It can get expensive. But just make certain that you're making that happen. And then the next year we'll be back in San Diego. And I'm telling you, San Diego in January is the place to be. So, okay, we ready to rock and roll?
Rock.
Yeah.
So I've written 2 questions on the board. One of them I did not put a question mark behind. But what is your purpose? What motivates you? Look, we talk about this so much within the organization, but these are phenomenal questions, I believe, to ask yourself right now and really dig deep and try to understand, why are you here? Like, why seriously stop for a moment? Why are you sitting in this room this morning? You've had a weekend, it's December, right? Aren't you supposed to be taking it a little bit easy right now? I'm not really believing that, but just think about what's going through people's minds and what they start to say and how they feel. It's been a weekend, right? So stop and think, what is it that motivates you to get in this room in the morning? What is it that drives the purpose that drives you to show up and to make the calls that you're inevitably going to go and get on the phone and make today? And I believe personally that this is one of the key fundamental discoveries you must make in your life. And it's going to change over and over again, and you're going to have new things come up. And I've shared this story before, but I've had this experience once where I sat down with kind of a top producing agent who had dipped a little bit in their production. And this is an individual that I've known for many, many years. I've spent a lot of time with, and I can combat and confront them at the very highest levels. I mean, 10 out of 10. And I can get away with it, and we can see great change happen. Because, there's this ebb and flow that happens. And one time, immediately after that visit, I had a meeting with someone that was not a top producing agent. Someone that had gotten their real estate, that they were taking seriously, but it was not like life and death for them, and if they didn't close a deal for 6 months, their family was going to be just fine. But they were motivated to close transactions. So here I went from this top producing person, then I went to this next person who was motivated and saying they were motivated, but also the production wasn't there. And I was a complete idiot, and I'm confronting this individual as though they were a top producing agent and wanted to change the world, and I could feel how uncomfortable it was getting in there. And I had to just stop for a moment, and I just said, I'm so sorry that this is happening right now. I'm just realizing that, and I explained the meeting I had just come from and said, I don't even know if you want to close 3 transactions a month. I don't know what your goals and dreams and what your purpose is and what your motivation is. I'm just kind of throwing all of this information at you and asking you these questions and trying to have you create these goals, and I don't even know if that's what you want. And it was something I had known before. It was something I was aware of. It was something that it wasn't lost on me, but I was confronting someone before I understood their purpose and why and their motivation. So what I had a huge reminder of that day, or epiphany, whatever you want to call it, was that it is impossible to confront someone if you don't understand what their wants and needs and desires and motivations are. And that, so if it's impossible for me to do that to you, Barbara, right? If it's impossible, Dan, for me to do that to you, then guess what else? It's impossible for me to do that to myself. If I have not identified within myself the goals, the dreams, the purpose, the motivation, the why, then it would be impossible for me to look myself in the mirror and say, man, you're not stepping it up, or man, you've got to do better at this, right? I was walking through the what do you call it? I was going to say the library. It's not the library. It's the magazine shop at the airport, okay? World News or whatever. And there was such a great article from Tony Robbins. I grabbed the magazine. It's in Success, and I have a subscription to it, and this was sitting on my kitchen counter, but I bought a copy anyway. I'll have to give it to someone. Because the article, I didn't have a chance to read it before I left, and I had the article and I was able to read it at the airport, just from Tony Robbins about how to make 2019 a great year. And so much of it starts with, what is your motivation, what is your why? So if you have a pen and a paper ready, I'm going to share with you something that is probably not new information, but a great reminder, and something that I try to do often to remind myself of what my purpose is, what my why is, what it is that makes me show up, what it is that makes me go through the tough times and make that extra phone call and ask that extra question and put myself out of my comfort zone. What is it that I'm driving toward? And this exercise, I like to call it the 10 whys, but it's 4 things and 10 of each. I don't want to confuse anyone. So, number 1. So these are 10 whys. So you're going to write 10 down. Now we're not going to do this right now, but it's an exercise that you can take 15, 20, 30 minutes with today. And then what I'd love to see you do, I've done this, go do it. Talk to your family about this, or those you're close to, or your loved ones, or your significant others, whoever. Sit down and share with them not only what you're writing down, but ask them to do the exact same exercise. Imagine sitting down with your children, or your grandchildren, or your spouse, or people you're close with, and just say, hey, what do you want out of life? What do you want the next 12 months to look like for you? And I'll write these down and you can see. So number 1 is, what do you want, to buy? Number 2, just what do you want? Now, what is the difference between a want and a buy? Any ideas? What's the difference between something you want and something you want to buy?
You want to be something. You can't buy learning things and becoming somebody.
Sure.
But you can buy trucks or automobiles.
Love it. So for example, you can want to be an investor, right? And you can want residual income, right? That's something a lot of people want. But then you have to be capable of buying the house, don't you? You have to be capable of buying the land. You have to be capable of buying the duplex. And you have to go and do that. So
Materialistic versus
yeah, sure. So what are some wants people might have? I'll throw a couple examples out. Sometimes people say, I want a residual income. Some people say, I want the flexibility in scheduling. I want to be inspiring. I want to be a better leader. I want to influence the lives of others for good. So be thinking, wants, wants, wants. buys, for some reason, they sometimes get harder for people than they think that they might be. But what's some stuff that you want to buy? What are some things that you want to buy? And it could be a number of things. I mean, anything you want, small, big, whatever it is. But do you ever have something that you're like, I would never buy that, but I'd love to have that, right?
Yeah.
Lou's like, oh yeah. So think about that. Next, 10 places you want to travel. Where are 10 places that you want to go? What are 10 vacations that you want to go on? And isn't it fun? I've asked this before, I love asking that. What's one of the coolest places you've ever been? I'd love to hear even right now. Fun vacations, places you've been. Rick?
Hawaii.
Hawaii, great. Love to get back to Hawaii, huh? I've never been to Hawaii. I'm supposed to go this year, so. What else?
Singapore.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
I just watched, isn't that where Crazy Rich Asians is filmed? That place looks awesome. I want to go there. Okay, Evan?
Lake Powell.
Okay, Lake Powell. No, that's awesome, man. You're like going like that, but if you want to get a houseboat in Lake Powell for a week, that is a no-nonsense trip. I'm telling you. It is costly. You can go to Tahiti for that. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Second Ruby's in Singapore.
Singapore. Okay, so you guys are recommending Singapore then. Okay.
Super clean.
Anyone have anything else? Okay, how much fun, I know everyone's been places, but how much fun was it to go on that trip? How much enjoyment was it? Was it great to get out of town and think about that. What if you were to do that again? What if you were to do that frequently? What if you were to do that with a lot of money in your wallet? We went on a trip to like Africa and Europe and stuff right at the beginning of my marriage. And I was young and I did not have a lot of money. And I remember the whole time thinking, wow, it'd be fun to go on this trip with like money. It'd be exciting. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, Leslie has been an example of that. I've watched them
I'm
for
really good at that.
23 years of watching her, almost 24 now. I don't remember a year that they haven't gone multiple times to somewhere around the world. Just inspiring to hear where they've gone, to Egypt, to you name it.
Awesome. Guess where else Leslie goes every year? No kidding.
Oh yeah.
This kind of stuff too.
Right?
All right. Is it possible there's a correlation there? I bet she'd say yes, and I would say yes as well. Make sure you're educating yourself and engaging. So all three of these things can seem very much like all about you, and we sometimes get uncomfortable with the idea of like, well, what do I want? What do I want? This is another great thing, but what are 10 ways you'd like to contribute? Who would you like to help? And I truly believe that it is something almost ingrained in the entrepreneurial spirit to also want to give back to people. It just seems like there's a thing there that is like, not only do I want to make it, but I also want to help others. And I find that very true within our organization. That means the agents within our organization and leadership. And a recommendation here where some of this for me was, I was inspired by this book, was Driven, about Larry H. Miller. Okay, I didn't know anything about Larry H. Miller other than the fact that he lost his temper a lot on the Jazz games, and also that I think my mom said he was a crook because she bought a car there once when I was like 5 years old or something. That's what I knew about Larry Miller. Actually, funny story. My mom called. I don't even know the details of the car thing. I'm sure it wasn't a big deal, but she calls up the Larry H. Miller office. Like, I'd like to speak to Larry Miller, please. And I don't think she ever got through to him. But so, the what I learned from Larry H. Miller, if you read his book, was how much he gave back. He was giving all the time. And I think as you read that, you'll also be inspired by other ideas and things and ways in which you can help and give back. It can be little things like and stuff that, man, it's powerful. People within our organization, these are stories that are just happening all around us, but new agent gets their license and they buy a suit for them. Someone buys a couple of suits for someone so that they can dress the part. Somebody pays for someone's ticket to go to an event to help them jumpstart their business. I mean, lots of neat things that are happening all around us that you'd never know about. But just cool stuff and ways to give back. And you may feel, so I'm going to also add a caveat to this, contributing back is critical no matter what your financial status is, and you don't have to say, I'm going to get rich. The reason why I asked that is, so I had a couple of women on my team once that were talking. We were actually going through an exercise like this, and one of the ladies said, I would love, when I get wealthy, and when I close 100 real estate transactions, I would love to just give back to the homeless and help out with the homeless, you know, like maybe go and help feed them or whatever. And the other woman who was on the team, and I'll tell you who she is because she's awesome and I love her and some of you will know her, is Tammy Fife, Shariat Madari. She's awesome, I love her. She like practically stood up in the chair. She's like looking at the lady, like, you can give back to the homeless right now. I have nothing, and every week I am down there feeding them. I mean, she wasn't being mean, but she was just like, you want to give? Come give with me. I do it every week. And I know she was struggling while she was doing that. And it's awesome to see how her life turned around, and I know that some of the contribution assisted in that. So I want to throw a little bit of a caveat into this, or a wrench in the system of thought. So typically, you know, if you're going to start saying, I want to buy something, you might say, oh, I want to buy the Lamborghini, the Corvette, the $120,000 boat, and whatever else, fill in the blank. Just a challenge to consider, do 5 short-term items and do 5 long-term items. Now what that means is that right now you might be saying, you might say, I want to be an investor. Well, being an investor long-term might involve real estate property and things of that nature. Being an investor short-term might be controlling your spending. It might be saving a certain amount of money in the bank account. Okay, be thinking about what that looks like. Purchases, maybe it's not about spending the hundreds of thousands of dollars on stuff, but I mean, is there something you want for $500 that if you motivate yourself to do 2 closings, you could go out and treat yourself to that thing? Traveling is probably one of the easiest ones to think about on this, because when we think about travel, and I'm even bringing it up in here, what's the big exotic trip that you want to go on? Look, I guarantee that more than half of the room right now, a weekend up in Park City with their family would be life-changing, or feel life-changing right now. Yeah, so just don't allow yourself to be so overly focused on what the big thing is. It's got to be there, the long term, but make certain that you have some short-term purpose and motivation to get yourself up to that next level. And so be thinking what that is, whether it's a trip to Disneyland, quick trip to Disneyland, or even St. George, Park City, whatever it might be. But just make sure that you're putting some stuff. So I like to do 5 short-term, 5 long-term. Any thoughts about this, guys? Questions, concerns? Sweet, Chris, go ahead.
I'm concerned. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm concerned. So, for me, it's super important. Sometimes, and you alluded to this earlier, but sometimes we focus on those objects and travel and things like that, but you really have to ask yourself, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? And along the side of the whys, like a lot of times if I can't assign like meaning to these things, or contributing or whatever that is, I ask it's like a 5X rule when it comes to whys. Like I'll ask myself 5 times with each of those items, like why behind it. Like, why do I need to travel? Because I need to be with my family and spend more time with them. Why do I need to be with my family? Because I feel this way. So a lot of times when you assign that meaning again to those items, that's when they have true value for us and when they're truly motivating for us every day.
I love that. I do that when I travel now that I have 4 children and a wife, so we've got 6 of us, and I start paying for the plane tickets, and I'm like, why do I need to travel? I'm kidding. That's awesome. I love that idea. Keep assigning a meaning to what you're doing. So, guys, take some time and do this. Take some time with your loved ones and do this and understand it. I mean, I have done this before, and just thinking about this over the weekend, about what I wanted to share this morning, I am so excited to get with my family in the next couple of days and like sit and listen to my 11-year-old son and say, what do you want? You know, what is it that you want to buy? What is it that you want? You know, what are some ideas you have for contributing back to people? And it's a powerful exercise that will be powerful for you, and I'm absolutely certain that if you share it with others, if you actually truly, and this is where I think Chris's point comes in, if it actually means something to you, these items, you will work harder. You'll put accountabilities in place in order to achieve what it is you must achieve, and those accountabilities will be safety nets for you achieving these things that you want to achieve. So please identify your purpose, identify what motivates you, and go out and make it happen. Can you do that?
Yes. Yep.
All right, awesome. Let's do some closing affirmations and get to more work. All right, let's roll. I succeed because I act on my goals. I am an optimist. I like talking to new people. I know what is important to me. I remember people's names. I have a native plan I follow it. I am passionate about real estate. I enjoy reading and improve my sales skills. My thoughts lead my emotions, actions, results. I focus on my dreams daily. My presentation is powerful. I improve my skills daily. I am happy. I love the prospect. It means my business. I see my future and it's awesome. I love my life. I am grateful and thankful. I control my thinking. I believe in me. I feel outstanding. I believe in opportunities. I get to the best. I'm financial customer service. I drink water daily. I connect with people. People love me. I love others. I am disciplined. I handle my daily schedule. I prospect daily. I set appointments daily. I'm a master persuader. I achieve my goals. I'm a real estate rock star. I am passionate about my life. I live every day with purpose. I am confident in my skills. I know my destiny. I am healthy and strong. I am powerful. I am self. I keep positive.